You see, the people that read the comics call me Namor. Then my tribe, they call me Cuckoo Gang. And then the inclusive writers, they call me Namor.
Yo people, welcome back to another video. I hope everyone has been doing well. So I've just come home from watching the film Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I'm going to give you some thoughts. Feel free to agree, disagree in the comments section. I'm still a bit split. I guess I'll have my final score by the end of this whole thing. I'd like to see what you guys have to say, and yeah, MCU Phase 4 has finally come to an end. This review will be spoiler filled. So if you haven't watched it yet and you care about it being spoiled, this is your cue to pause and return once you've watched it. And if you don't care about that, then yeah, let's just get straight into it. So compared to the other stuff the MCU has given us in Phase 4, especially She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, etc., this is better, but I don't want to overhype it. I feel like they've dropped our standards with that kind of stuff, so I don't want to go overboard, I don't want to overhype due to recency bias. I'll mention some of the negatives off the top of my head, just to get them out of the way. First one being that the film was way too long for the plot that ended up happening. I wanted to see Wakanda develop as a nation, get some more Afrofuturism, get some more culture. Instead, I feel like Wakanda felt really cheap, it felt really nerfed, and I think it was due to how strong they wanted to show Namor, but I don't know, I feel like there was a better way of handling it. I think Ironheart's suit at the end was trash. Oh wait, sorry, wrong picture. Yeah, this one, it was trash. I think that the suit, that blue one that Okoye got, that she was even roasting it in the film, that was trash as well. Just delete both of those suits. I think the theme of death across the two films in general, very much repeated, and I'm talking about using death as a motivational device for the characters. For T'Challa, it was his dad. For Killmonger, it was his dad. For Namor, it was his mum. For Shuri, it was the brother, and then the mum. So I feel like they could just stop with the repetition, find other ways of getting the characters to get this motivation and this ambition. And since we talk about death, unfortunately, we'll move on to the Chadwick stuff. I think if he was in this film, it definitely would have been a lot better of a film. He really showed levels of how to play the role, how to be the protagonist. And it's pretty unfortunate that he's gone, to be honest, because this film would have really been good for him. Him versus Namor, that would have been really good. I think the film did tribute him well for the most part. Honestly, they didn't even milk the death that much, which was shocking. I was already going into the film going like, this might make me cry. Like, if they do this too much, it may be just too much in general. But they actually didn't. And I think the end credit was as emotional as it got, where we find out T'Challa had a son, he knew about his son, and his son's name was T'Challa, which obviously when he becomes king, he would become King T'Challa II. I think it's a very nice way to end the film, and in my opinion, I think it's a good tribute. However, I do think his off-screen death and the funeral happened very quick. I think the illness storyline felt like there was another death that was planned and they scrapped it. And I would have preferred if T'Challa died knowing he had the illness and he did some sort of sacrifice, kind of like Dumbledore, so that he could save his own people and go out in the most heroic way. They could have had a CGI version of him in the suit. You just don't take the mask off so that you can at least see his body. I think the issue I had with the illness death in particular is that it's kind of similar to how he passed in real life, so that can be a bit hard to kind of digest. And after he passes, Shuri never bothers to work on the cure for that illness ever again. If I was Shuri, I'd be trying to find the cure so that at least I can stop other people from dying if that ever happens, if they ever do get the illness. But nope, it never gets mentioned ever again. Which brings me to Shuri, and I really had high hopes for her character. I thought she would do very well, but yeah, I was mistaken. She felt a bit weird for me. I feel like they didn't flesh out her character nearly as much as they could have, which was definitely disappointing. I think what messed her up was the 1 year time jump situation, because that grieving stage that we would have got, I think it would have brought out the struggles for her, and we could have had it shown a lot more rather than just be told. For example, when she says that she wants to burn the world, okay, but why? Yeah, we know it's because of the brother's death, but like, what do other people have to do with it? Moments like that, I think they could have dived in more and connected the dots across the film. Towards the end, when they tie in the Killmonger stuff with how she's feeling at the end, it makes a lot more sense compared to the earlier stuff. I actually like the theme of the science versus religion, but again, that's one of the pieces of the puzzle. and they gave us like all the pieces but very isolated. What they needed to do was connect all of it. And I think she did need a lot of help from the other supporting characters, and she never really had any good solo protagonist moments, which is unfortunate. In no way is this the actress's fault, by the way. I do think she did the best that she could with what she had. And the other dodgy thing was she got stabbed straight through the stomach and she just walked it off. Like, that's very unrealistic. But I don't know. When she got the Black Panther suit, that was like the bit that bothered me the most, because I understand she was full of anger, but I don't know. She goes from "I want to burn the world" to "Oh no, Namor, don't do that. That's gonna be bad." And then she's like back on the rage mode thing. So I don't know. It felt all over the place. Like, obviously the end anger did make sense, but it was just too on and off all of a sudden. I would have actually preferred if she agreed to join Namor in the first place, and then the conflict happened when they were supposed to be allies. Maybe someone gets backstabbed or something. I think they could have explored it a lot more that way, but yeah, I don't know. It was a bit off for me. I'll move on to my MVPs of the film, and the first MVP for acting, I'd give it to Angela Bassett. I think she really carried that first part of the film especially. There was no faults, no cringe moments, nothing negative to pick out. She really had that commanding presence. She played her role perfectly. I knew she was going to die. I had a feeling all along, so it wasn't a surprise for me personally. At least she died in a heroic way, which is what they could have done with T'Challa. She saved Ironheart, who I'll talk about later on. Overall, good performance. And another person who was very close was Denai Guerrero, who plays Okoye. She had the funny moments, she had very good fighting scenes, she was very like empowering. You really got that female like empowering energy from her. I feel like that's what we should have got from Shuri. And yeah, I think she kind of stole the spotlight a bit from Shuri at some moments, but overall both characters really helped the film, and they really helped Shuri actually, and without both of these characters the film could have really got exposed. I think my honorable mention goes to M'Baku, and he would have been MVP to be honest if he had more screen time, which is unfortunate because the actor did very well. They kind of changed his character. He had more of the comedy, and the comedy was good, by the way. He probably had the funniest moment, and it suited the film because it was enough to make you laugh, but not enough to turn it into a comedy and ruin the generic mood of the film. He also showed a lot of leadership qualities and was very helpful and relevant in supporting Shuri. Having said that, I know there will be people out there that are saying male agenda, and I can agree to some extent. They really turned him from like this strong alpha in the first film to like the goofy comedy relief in this film. It kind of feels like a demotion, so I definitely understand that. My MVP for best character, or like the most interesting character, Namor. He was a good anti-hero, and the ending for him, I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit dry, no pun intended, because that guy got cooked differently. But I think Namor's L at the end was kind of unrealistic compared to the stuff he was doing before. It felt like he got nerfed just so the hero could win, and he just got fatigued because of the whole microwave sauna treatment, which, mind you, he literally stabbed Shuri onto a rock, and then he decided to be tired after. So I think the most controversial bit could have been the yielding thing. He says he yields, he didn't actually bow. If he bowed, that would have been a disgrace, and I definitely could have seen a big outroar if that happened. But they kind of got away with it because he was already flat on the floor. It still felt a bit cheap and rushed, but as we find out, it was kind of part of his master plan to kind of con Shuri. I'm still a bit meh with how the ending was. It could have been a lot worse though, so at least they didn't ruin it fully. I do think there was some elements about his character that kind of felt like copy and paste from Killmonger, but at least it kind of worked, I guess. I made a video last week where I was talking about the possibility of Marvel turning Namor Hispanic for the views, and it would be very controversial and it would depend a lot on how they do it for me to accept it. Honestly, I think they did well covering his backstory, the underwater city, the culture of the Mayan people. I really liked how they showed the flashbacks as well, how savage he was as a kid, he burned the colonizers. I don't know, I think I can appreciate the attempt. I think that they really made him a powerhouse on screen. He had his cool fight scenes, he had good dialogue, especially when he was talking to Shuri. He was menacing and he seemed like a serious threat, to be honest, and To be fair, for a guy in short shorts and wings on his ankles, they really made him pretty cool. However, I don't know, I think I still would have preferred if they kept it comic accurate, but I definitely understand and appreciate what they tried to do, and it definitely made me connect more. Another character that was brand new was Ironheart, and to be honest, I wrote her off from the start, and I said that if she gets shoved into the story in the agenda ways, as Marvel has been doing, and she gets made to be really important, then that would be the weakness of the film. And it didn't actually go that way, and you really got a feel for her character. They really made the upcoming show a bit more appealing. Not that I care, not that I'm going to be anticipating it or anything, but big credit goes to the actress because I feel like she carried the character. I feel like she made it a lot more interesting than what was probably written, so fair play to her. And now the last two cameos, Killmonger and Valentina. And now Killmonger being in the spirit that Shuri connects to, it was crazy because it was a bit like, you get it because they're cousins, but that shouldn't have happened. And it was a good way to bring back Killmonger, the fan favorite. I feel like Michael B. Jordan really carried that scene. He slotted straight back into the role as well, so there was nothing bad about his performance. He was one of the highlights. Even though it was very short, he was very influential, especially at the end. I feel like Valentina, she was good as well. She finally got her MCU movie debut. I know she was in Black Widow, but who actually watched that in cinemas? Like 5% of people? I'm exaggerating with the numbers, by the way. But yeah, we had seen her in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so it was good to see her finally start connecting more of the dots, seeing what she's up to. She has that lust for vibranium, so it'll be interesting to see who else she recruits for the team. So overall, I think I'd give this a 6.5. I think that I don't want to overhype it. I'd rather underscore it and be more realistic than overhype it. It's not a weak film. I do think the first one is still better, and I'm not one of those people that said that the first film was a masterpiece, but Chadwick really commanded his role. He really showed what it's like to be the Black Panther, to be a protagonist. I feel like if he was in this film, he would have definitely elevated this film, and it probably would have been better than the first one. But I don't know. I think that the first one still had a more efficient story. It really dived into the Afrofuturism, the culture. It was very unique. I don't know. I feel like this film was missing some of those key elements, but it doesn't mean that this is weak. It doesn't mean it's garbage. It's still a pretty respectable score. I don't know. I did feel quite torn as I was making this, but I feel like overall, I think this is a fair rating. I do now think that Namor is probably the most interesting thing out of this movie. Like, what's next for him? Shuri, I don't know. She needs a timeout. She needs that halftime break. She just needs to reassess. They need to see how they can write her character. I don't know. I think she should still come clutch in the end, but I don't know. For her debut, it was a bit underwhelming. And yeah, that concludes it. Shout out to everyone that made it this far. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Till then, have a good one.